Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Command Modern Air Naval Operations and the newest standalone DLC, Shifting Sands, which takes a look at the conflicts in the Middle East, principally between Israel and the other Arab states, although not exclusive to those particular conflicts. You see the Suez Crisis, which certainly involved Israel, but really sort of from a British and French perspective, there's scenarios around that. But in general, it's a DLC pack that really looks at the Arab-Israeli conflict throughout history. In our first look at this DLC pack, we played the Battle of Red Sea Rumble, which was the first battle in the campaign of Shifting Sands. Today we're going to be fighting the battle known as Cross-Border Skirmish, which is the second battle in the campaign of Shifting Sands. In this fight, we're progressing from the 1950s all the way up to 1964. It is November 1964. The location is in the Golan Heights. The opponent is Syria. The scenario will last 4 hours, and we are playing on the side of Israel. So last time around, we were fighting as the British. This time, we will be fighting as the Israelis. Following the First Arab-Israeli War, Israel and Syria both claimed sovereignty over several demilitarized zones along their border. These zones were set up as part of the ceasefire, ending the war. Israel attempted to farm the lands in these zones, while Syria developed a project to divert water from the Jordan River, which Israel shared with both Syria and Jordan. Syrian forces often fired on Israeli tractors attempting to farm the zones, while Israel looked for ways to interrupt the Syrian diversion project. So this is a period in the early to mid-1960s where the Jordan River was feeding something like the majority or a large percentage of Israel's farming, as well as just sort of general water resources came from the Jordan River. And the Syrians, as one way to try and make the Israeli state less viable, developed a plan to divert the river, and it would have cut off up to 35% of the river's water from Israel's essentially being able to access it. So it really would have caused the Israeli state to be in a bit of a quandary in terms of its viability is concerned. There were actually some previous water operations that the Israelis and the Jordanians took part in to expand Israel's access to this water, but Syria was attempting to divert it as sort of a strategic play against Israel. It's interesting, I'm in the process right now of reading a book basically on the Arab-Israeli conflict, specifically on the 6 Days War. I'll throw it in the description here, but the book that I'm currently in the process of reading is called 6 Days of War, June 1967 and the Making of the Modern Middle East. It's written by Michael Orn, and again, it sort of talks about the pivotal conflict of 1967, that 6 Days War that really still shapes the Middle East even to this day, although this skirmish is taking place before the 1967 war. There were several skirmishes which occurred between Israel and Syria. There was a lot of diplomatic skirmishing back and forth that all led up to that war, and this is sort of setting the stage for the 67 conflict. You can see here on November 13th, 1964, Syrian forces stationed on the top of the Golan Heights. This is a strategic area elevated on the Syrian and Israeli border that whoever held the Golan Heights would have a strategic advantage over the other side because they'd be able to shoot down into the valley. For example, in this case, the Israelis would be subject to bombardment from Syrian forces. You can see a plateau overlooking the Israeli territory in the Jordan River Valley, fired on Israeli tractors. Israeli forces returned fire, Syrian artillery then targeted Israeli villages, and Israel responded with air attacks on Syrian forces. The skirmish then escalated rapidly. So that's going to be our scenario. We're going to move forward here. You can see the briefing for the scenario, the overview. Over the past few weeks, Syrian artillery has shelled settlements in the vicinity of the Golan Heights. In light of this, 107 and 117 squadrons have been put on high alert to conduct cross-border strikes against further such attacks against artillery positions on the Golan Heights. Our orders and conduct of strike: 110 squadrons to conduct ground recon along the border of the Golan Heights in Syria for any artillery sites. 107 and 109 squadrons are to conduct strikes against Syrian positions if any further attacks are conducted. 117 Squadron is to provide escort against any Syrian aircraft detected moving toward the border. If engaged by any Syrian forces, you may return fire. So the Israeli order of battle, our order of battle, it is all based out of Ramat David Air Base. We have the 107th Squadron, which is flying Uragans. We have the 109th Squadron, which is flying Mystery 4s. The 110 Squadron flying the Meteor PR-9 Photo Recon, and the 117 Squadron firing the Mirage 3 CJ, which is the most modern of our aircraft. Command and Control, Israeli Air Force Headquarters, MCOM limited emissions. There's not a ton of radar at this point anyway for our aircraft, so it's less of an issue. Okay, so we'll go ahead and enter the scenario. You can see it's a 4-hour scenario. If we go ahead and zoom in here, we can see we're on the northern border of Israel. This is our air base, Ramat David Air Base. This little triangle represents that we have air units there. But there are a bunch of other units here along the border. We've got a Jeep with a recoilless rifle, some artillery, some anti-aircraft batteries, some radar facilities, some mechanized recon sections and APCs, another Jeep with recoilless rifles, and another artillery piece. In addition to that, we have these settlements here, and I don't know if that's... I can't tell if it's a settlement down there. There's anti-air over here. But essentially, there's 2 settlements here in the north, and there's several down here in the south. There's also one down here. The goal, essentially, is if the enemy starts attacking these, if the Syrians start attacking these, to respond in kind. Now, we don't have any Syrian forces that we can spot here along the border in these exclusion zones. We'll probably want to do some reconnaissance along the border to see where these Syrian forces are, because right now we have no eyes on anything. We do have 3 Syrian air bases that are on the map here. We've got the base at the Dumar Air Base, the base of Maraj Rujval Air Base, and we have the Damascus El Amzim Air Base. So 3 air bases, potentially all with Syrian aircraft on them. Also 2 Syrian radar facilities, Tall King P-14 radar facilities. So as you remember here, our mission was not to fire unless fired upon. So that kind of limits my ability to launch a preemptive strike. You can see here the Mirage 3, this squadron of aircraft, the 117th Squadron. These are our best aircraft. There's a mixture in these flights of 500 kilogram heavy dumb bombs and anti-aircraft units. So again, these guys are flying anti-air with R-530 missiles. And then we've also got some that are armed, I suppose, with just guns only. So they've got... not really sure. Weapons of hit ready arm. Guns only. Unlimited bullets, I guess. Alright, well. Anyway, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and rearm these guns only with missiles. So let's go ahead and rearm them. Let's go with the R530. We've got 76 of these in the magazines. So let's go ahead and rearm them. And that's going to take 3 hours. It's only a 4-hour battle, so that may have been a foolish thing to do. They're going to be the only ones we're going to rearm. We'll have 2 more aircraft ready in an hour that have these missiles. 2 are ready currently, but because we only have a few aircraft, I'm going to keep them all on the ground until we start detecting any Syrian aircraft coming in. If we look at the MD-450 Orang, this aircraft is, I believe, the worst of our aircraft. It's the slowest. It's a subsonic aircraft. But it is a good strike aircraft, so it carries a variety of ordnance loads between dumb bombs, rockets, and napalm. This will be an effective strike craft when it comes to bombing enemy forces. And then we've got 12 of them. Of those 12, 8 are ready now. 4 more will be ready in 1 hour. We also have 12 MB-545 Mystery 4s, which are a supersonic attack aircraft, a little bit better than the Uragan. And we've got, looks like about 6 of those are ready, a mixture of rockets and bombs in terms of their loadout. They don't quite carry as much ordnance as the Uragan, but they're faster and more maneuverable. And then we've got 2 Meteors, which are our recon aircraft. They have recons, cameras, and pods. They don't have any electronic surveillance capabilities. Really, it's just a Mark 1 eyeball. But we've got 2 of those available. So I'm actually going to go ahead and launch one of these right away. To get it flying some recon along the border. We'll leave the other at the base, so if anything happens to the one in the air, it's not, harmed. And that's really all I can do right now. I'm not authorized to start shooting at the Syrians quite yet, so until that, I think we just have to fly some recon. So we'll go ahead and get the aircraft off the ground, hopefully eventually. We've got to wait 2 minutes for it to taxi and take off. There we go. Alright, so the photo recon, let's go ahead and set its altitude. I'm going to set it to medium altitude, just so we can try and see some stuff. I'm actually going to set it to 15,000 feet. By default, I feel like it flies up to its maximum altitude of 36,000, but it's not going to see anything there. So we'll do that. I think 15,000 should make it immune to most anti-aircraft fire. I could be wrong, but hopefully it's low enough to see everything going on. Alright, so we're not attacking. Let's go ahead and plot our recon course through the exclusion zones along the border. Theoretically, these red areas, Libya and Jordan, are areas that we shouldn't be doing anything. Or Lebanon and Jordan. We'll fly up here along the exclusion zones, then we'll go ahead and fly our recons over the air bases, and then we'll head back. That's going to be my mission parameters. I suppose we can move in a little bit faster, maybe 5-second increments. Let's see if we spot anything here. Or 15,000. Well, he's flying at 13,000 feet. You'd think that would be low enough to spot some stuff. Doesn't appear to be spotting anything. Let's do this. Let's bring our altitude down a bit. Because there's got to be stuff along the border. I'm certain of it. Oh, wait. The Syrians are marked as hostile. Well, they must have shot against our aircraft or something. Something to that effect. Alright, so the Syrians are hostile. Hostile, hostile, hostile. Alright, so that gives me some free reign to start striking at the enemy. Now, I don't know where their artillery units are, but we'll have to try and fly back and get some recon against them. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and plot a new strike. So I'm going to go ahead and take both of these 500-pound bomb aircraft. We're going to go ahead and launch them as a group. I'm going to go ahead and launch these 250-kilogram bombs with some rockets as a group. 105mm T-10 rockets and 250-kilogram bombs as a group. We'll leave the napalm aircraft on the deck. We'll go ahead and get these bombs as a group. Keep these rockets. Alright, so we'll go ahead and set to 5 seconds and get going. Don't like the idea of bringing him lower than... Is he at now? — 15,000 feet. I would think I should see something from that altitude. Alright, there's no enemy aircraft airborne as far as I can tell, so I'm going to keep my fighters on the deck. We're about 20 minutes into the scenario, still nothing detected. Alright. So, one of our aircraft is airborne. These guys have the 250... Alright, so these are going to... We're going to go ahead and attack this airbase here in the southeast. Our first two groups. These guys have rockets, and the other guys have bombs. These guys all have bombs. We're going to go ahead and target this base as well. Okay. I'm not using any escorts. I probably should do that. I could have used a strike mission, a strike package or something like that, setting one up. That would have been probably the intelligent thing to do. But I'm not intelligent. Alright, now let's go ahead and get some fighters airborne, because I'm sure the enemy's going to launch some aircraft up against us. So we've got a large amount of our air wings are airborne already. We're going to go ahead and launch these guys as a group. We can see our strike packages are inbound. Still got no intel. Alright, let's bring the altitude down a bit. God, I hate doing this. We'll bring it down to 12,000. Maybe we'll see something from there. I gotta think 12,000, if there's enemy flak, is not really low enough to be too much at risk of enemy flak. These guys are all climbing up over 19,000 or so. Alright. towards the strike. These are our fighters, so we're going to go ahead and plot these guys just kind of in this general direction. They'll be providing some cover if the Syrians do scramble anything. Go ahead and accelerate things a bit. Shit. What was that? Settlements are suffering damage. From what? Alright. Plot your course into the exclusion zone. We're going to advance this Jeep. This Recolius rifle. Oh, there we go. Alright, enemy target. I don't know what it is. See if our Jeep can attack it. Doesn't look like it's going to be in range. I'm not sure which one that's coming from. Some of these could be anti-aircraft. I don't like the idea of sending my aircraft against them. 622. I'm guessing the 6 is the artillery, right? It looks like it's coming off that. All right, so that does look like that's the artillery piece. We still have some aircraft back at base. Left some napalm aircraft, which I thought would be useful against enemy ground units. We'll go ahead and take them off. Go ahead and get these rocket guys off too. We're going to launch 2 more groups, and once they're airborne, we'll send them against that unit that looks like is the one firing. You can see that artillery is coming in on the settlements. Meanwhile, our aircraft are closing. Actually, we've got some bombs, I think, dropping. I think these are bombs that were dropped by this flight, which I'm going to have RTB. It's dropped its bombs. I don't want them strafing the airfield or anything like that. Okay, so we just dropped our bombs. Let's see here. If we scroll down, we can see... no, that's all. Let's check the game log here. Message log. Oh, come on. Actually, let's look at losses and expenditures first. So the enemy's fired 72 artillery pieces and they haven't lost anything. We've fired 8 dumb bombs, essentially, and we haven't hit anything by the looks of it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pull the message log up in a separate window. Settlement house has a minor fire. You can see all these artillery pieces are coming in. These guys are returning to base. Dropping at runway access point. Looks like they're dropping at the runway. No suitable weaponry is available. I wish they weren't bombing the runway. I'm trying to hit enemy aircraft. Doesn't look like the bombs did anything based on the reporting. So, rockets are missing aircraft revetments, firing a bunch of these, impacted revetment and penetrated it. Okay, so we're using more weaponry here. You can see we've now fired 2,400 5mm rockets and 4 20mm cannons. We haven't hit anything yet, at least according to the losses calculator. Alright, new aircraft spotted, aircraft revetment, 1 large aircraft. So we have spotted enemy aircrafts on this enemy aircraft on this field. We haven't destroyed anything yet, but we've at least seen that there are enemy aircraft here. So I suppose that's good. I could send my recon unit over there as well. Meanwhile, our Recolius rifle vehicle is moving in. We're going to go ahead and launch an attack with these aircraft, hopefully, effectively, against this, what I believe to be enemy artillery. Our other aircraft are still bombing that base. This is our other flight. I don't know if I give it the right order. Make sure it's attacking the right thing. Alright. More aircraft being spotted. MiG-15s. We've got 2 flights coming in. Settlement destroyed. So we've lost a settlement. Does that cost us anything in scoring? No. Okay. So we're still at 0. We can have those settlements destroyed, essentially. Alright, aircraft are coming in. Stop plotting. Go ahead and attack. Whatever that is. Well, they destroyed something. Let's see here. They fired a bunch of rockets at enemy... Oh, they didn't destroy anything that looks like of value. What's our... Ah! Keep it. Hitting the wrong button. Alright, so the Syrians have now lost 1 aviation gas tank, an underground tank, 2 40mm single Bofors, and 1 howitzer. We have lost 1 small building and expended a whole bunch of ordnance. Alright, let's slow this down a bit. You can see the enemy anti-aircraft weaponry is firing on us. What do they have left? Their cannons? I would rather they RTB. I don't want to lose these guys. Alright, so we've spotted the enemy over there. Stop. Alright, so we've got more targets potentially detected over here. I don't know if we've done anything from a... We haven't destroyed anything yet. We're dropping bombs on this other air base, but we know for sure that there's enemy aircraft on this base. Our air unit, I suppose, will kind of plot these guys around. Alright, so I need better intel on what's over here. So, let's move... I'm invading Syria, by the way, apparently. Alright, let's move these guys into Syrian territory. Mechanized recon squadron. Go ahead and move these guys as well. Can we not plot them? Oh. Yeah, we can. Alright, so I've got artillery over here as well, which might be worthwhile using. Gonna try and send some APCs over the border. But in the meantime, I think I'm actually gonna launch an artillery strike on some of these. I don't know what I'm shooting at, but I like the idea of shooting at something. Okay, you can see a whole bunch of weapons are being dropped here on the other air bases. Again, I hate to keep jumping back and forth, but you can see we've now destroyed 4 enemy howitzers, which are kind of one of our targets. The enemy's expending quite a few artillery shells. They're also shooting some anti-air at our aircraft. So far, Israel has lost 1 building, but we've got a lot of aircraft in the air. There's plenty of time for things to go wrong. Yeah. Now, those 4 howitzers, are those worth anything? No, so apparently not. We've got 1 ground unit engaged in the south. You guys are going to RTB. You can see artillery or rounds of some kind are passing back and forth. Our artillery is now shooting at whatever this is. Settlements are being damaged. is our meteor, but he's not. Identifying anything. Let's give it one more pass. Alright, we destroyed something. Our artillery. So we're gonna go ahead and attack whatever this is. Counter battery fire. These guys are also gonna attack. Any more aircraft that we can launch against these guys? Got 3 aircraft. None of them are ready. Guns only? I don't want to do a strafing run. Let's rearm these guys. That'd take 4 hours. That was a mistake. Alright. Do you have anything going on out east? No. Still some aircraft bombing these air bases. I don't know really what they're bombing, because I didn't have intel until recently. They're bombing something. Alright. You guys have used almost all your weaponry minus your guns. Why don't you RTB? And also RTB. Go ahead and jump ahead of it. We'll see if our artillery does anything. Got 3 ground units moving in on these units which are shooting at us, and we've got 2 artillery units targeting them. The APC that I moved must be out of ammo or something. It's done some damage to that, but it hasn't destroyed anything. Another settlement destroyed. Great. Right, we've only got 1 aircraft ready. Alright. So our initial strikes on these air bases don't seem to have yielded much in the way of results. The enemy's lost some buildings and some anti-aircraft guns by the looks of it, a few howitzers, but nothing in terms of valuables. Our own units aren't yet returning fire here, damn it. And our only fighter unit has nothing to shoot at. Our ground units over here are out of ammo. These guys still have to have ammo. Yeah, they've got 360 shells. Can't you just shoot an area target at these guys? Something just happened. Did we detect something? Enemy aircraft incoming. Alright. Here we go. Plot. Drop. Engage. Alright, enemy aircraft are incoming. We'll slow us down to 2 seconds and we'll send our own fighters off here to engage. We've got 2 R-530 beyond, I don't know if they're beyond visual range, but they're anti-aircraft missiles. They engage. Weapons still out of weapon range. It'll be close now. There you go. Alright. 1 missile away. Guiding in on the target. Slow down to 1 real time. You can see the missile cruising in on the target. Both bogeys. We haven't identified what they are yet. Enemy's turning away. Missed. Right. Going in on him, trying to get in behind. These are both MiG-17s. I think they're probably strike aircraft. Firing a second missile. This one's from a bit... All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and end this particular video. We're in the middle of fighting Cross-Border Skirmish, the second battle in the Shifting Sands DLC pack for Command Modern Air Naval Operations. As a reminder, this is standalone DLC, so you don't have to buy the base game to get it in play. But as far as this video is concerned, so far things are going okay. We've shot down a couple enemy aircraft. We're in the process of identifying and destroying several enemy artillery locations, but still a little bit early in the fight. Things are not going disastrous. We haven't lost anything yet, at least nothing that matters, and we've accomplished a little bit of destruction of the enemy. Beyond that, though, we still have a lot to do, but we still have plenty of time to do it. About 3 hours left, so we're only about an hour in. With that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this stream or this video up, and we'll join you next time for part 2 of our look at Cross-Border Skirmish in Command Modern Air Naval Operations Shifting Sands. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts below, and until next time, it's the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.